After John Lennon's passing, Paul McCartney was taken aback by the fact that John Lennon had divested him of his fortune. Long before he was murdered at the age of 40, John Lennon had been giving some thought to his legacy and how he would be remembered after his passing. In one episode of the iHeartRadio podcast, Lennon's longtime colleague Paul McCartney revealed that the singer-songwriter and member of the Beatles was concerned about his legacy. When they were both still in their teens, Paul McCartney and John Lennon first connected at a church festival in Liverpool, England. At the time, Lennon was a member of his own band, the Quarrymen. Lennon approached McCartney about joining the band after the two had a chance encounter at the event. According to NPR, the formation of the Beatles occurred roughly 3 years later. When McCartney joined the band, Lennon reportedly was uncertain about the band's dynamics and worried that his leadership would be challenged. He was also concerned that McCartney would challenge his authority. When that happened, I went back to the first meeting, and I asked them, "Do you want to join the group?" As John Lennon was quoted as stating in the Beatles anthology, and I think he said yes the next day. However, McCartney recalled that working with Lennon was simpler than working by himself at the time. Paul McCartney remarked that he felt that they were able to do more while working with John because there were two thoughts contributing. And the interactions themselves were nothing short of miraculous. The Fab Four comprised of John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr were responsible for the formation of one of the most commercially successful rock bands in history. Nevertheless, the band disbanded in 1970. McCartney concurred with the assertion that John Lennon was the one who proposed disbanding the Beatles. At the time of the argument, attorneys had already been called, and the band's manager urged that they keep the news a secret in order to strike a lucrative deal. According to what Paul McCartney told John Wilson, for a number of months he was required to put up a false front. It was strange because everyone knew that this was the end of the Beatles, but they couldn't leave at this time. Then, McCartney, exhausted by his efforts to conceal the truth, let it all hang out in the open.